sometimes I'm overwhelmed when I observe humans because I really, it's my fascination to observe human behavior, the way they interact with each other. Everything from the fight videos to the driving videos, the car crashes, the things that make YouTube famous are most of them studies in human behavior. Most of what ends up on YouTube is someone pretty confident that they got this. You've heard probably many times that the famous last words of a redneck are often, "Hey y'all, watch this." Because there's this confidence that they're going to pull off this incredible stunt and everyone is simply going to be wowed. That confidence is an absolute necessity in leadership. A leader who has no confidence in themselves isn't going to lead very well. A leader who has no confidence in their team is not going to lead very well. A leader whose people have no confidence in them, well, they're not going to lead at all. Because who's going to follow a leader that you don't trust, that you don't believe in, that you haven't seen some fruit from? Confidence usually comes from accomplishment. You know, if you said to Michael Jordan, I'm gonna dunk this ball on you, Michael Jordan might laugh at you. He might laugh in your face, unless you're an NBA player and you've got a record of being able to dunk on a defender who's got great leaps and great hands and great experience. Maybe you're LeBron James and you're confident that you can dunk on Michael Jordan without him slapping the ball away. But if you're me and you're 5'8" tall and you got a 3.5-inch vertical jump, declaring to Michael Jordan, "I'm going to dunk this ball on you," is probably not confidence, it's ignorance. And I think one of the challenges that we're seeing in society today with the me isms of our entitled generations is this feeling that they have a right to be confident because they want to. Well, I mean, if you just show up on the football field, you get a trophy or a ribbon, right? If you just show up at the game, you're a winner like everybody else, even if you haven't played. I mean, it doesn't really matter how good you are if you play for a winning team. You know, there are people who move their children into different school districts for the sake of football or tennis or baseball because the district has a history of winning. Because it's one thing to say, I was a starting quarterback on a football team that no one's ever heard of. It's a totally different thing to say, I was a second string quarterback behind Troy Aikman. A backup quarterback to some of the best in the world has a better chance than a number one in a nowhere place. And the reality is that they can be given a level of confidence even when competence doesn't back it up. Had a conversation with a gentleman the other day. He's in his early 30s, and he said to me, "I think I'm doing pretty good. I don't have any kids outside of wedlock. I've never been divorced. I've never had any of those major kind of mistakes in my life. I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty good in the relationship area." And I said, "Well, how many times have you been married?" He said, "Well, never." Oh, so you're confident that you could have a great marriage, but you've never done that? I mean, isn't that the same as saying I'm undefeated because I've never been in a fight? I mean, I am a mixed martial artist undefeated. I've never been in a mixed martial arts fight. Not on the mat, nothing more than sparring when I was doing close quarter combat training. I've never been in a tournament. I've never been in a mat. I've never been in the ring. I haven't been in a street fight since I was in high school. But I can claim to be undefeated because I've never been defeated, right? No, it doesn't work like that. And yet that's kind of the mindset that we see with so many people. If you want to challenge my thought on this, pick up the phone and call any HR director that you know. And ask them how many resumes and applications they get for jobs. Hundreds of applications for jobs when they're not even remotely qualified. They just look at it and go, well, it pays good, and I'd like a job like that. They have no experience in the field. They have no related experience that could be translated. They have no education in the field. And some jobs, most jobs I find, in fact, I was promoted 3 different times at Verizon. All of the different jobs that I was promoted into required a degree, and all 3 times they asked for and received a regional president's override to go past that degree requirement because I had a competence level in the job that they needed done. My confidence and my competence were matched, and other people's confidence in me was matched as well. Now, this isn't about me. This is about, where do you find yourself as a leader? Are you confident without any history at all? Do you find yourself saying, I can do this, even though you have no evidence to prove that you can do this? You have no education, no training, no experience, no verified wins, no victory. Can you really be competent and confident in your competence if you've never even competed? Notice those words go together. Competence, competition, compete. See, competence comes from the evidence of having competed and won. It's not just a notion. I don't choose to be confident and that makes me competent. It doesn't work that way. I like the way John Maxwell says it. In fact, he's got a couple of little quotes here. One from John Maxwell, one from John Gardner, who's another author. I'm going to share both of these with you. He says, and this comes from the John Maxwell 21 indispensable qualities of a leader. This is on page 30. He says, competence goes beyond words. It's the leader's ability to say it, plan it, and do it in such a way that others know that you know how, and know that they want to follow you. John Maxwell. The society which scorns excellence in plumbing, because plumbing is a humble activity, and tolerates shoddiness in philosophy, because it is an exalted activity, will have neither good plumbing nor good philosophy. Neither its pipes nor its theories will hold water. That's a powerful idea when you realize that what he's talking about in the realm of confidence versus competence is, just because what you're saying sounds noble, and we all know these people, they're pedantic, for lack of a better word, they're boisterous, they're arrogant, they're usually fill the sentence with many more words than it needs kind of people. They're very confident in their opinion. They might be bloviated in their opinion as well. They might be a little exaggerated in what they think and its relative importance to anyone else on the planet. But because they thought it, and they hold that title, they have that PhD or DR or MA after their title, they're pretty confident that they can do this. There are some industries where the title is significant only if you're within that industry. In fact, only if you're in a certain organization. And yet I see them all the time, even on LinkedIn. I will see someone with their name, and maybe they're searching for a job or they just want to re-emphasize the qualities that they possess. And so I'll see things like CSP or CPEA or DTM, or I saw one the other day that said ACB, ACL, right? ACB, ALB. And someone asked me, what is an ACB, ALB? What kind of qualifications does that have? And I said, well, if you're in Toastmasters, then ACB is a communicator, advanced communicator bronze. And I believe they've even changed some of these levels recently, or in the last year or so. So I'm not even up on what all the new ones are. But the ACB would be an advanced communicator bronze or an advanced leader bronze, because leadership track and speaking track go together. A DTM would be someone who has advanced through all of the levels of a communicator in Toastmasters and has served in local governance and has served in regional governance and has served as a leader and as a speaker in multiple functions. They've completed over 50 speeches and blah, 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 blah. If you've never been in Toastmasters, though, you have no idea what a DTM is. It's just a label. It doesn't tell you anything about their accomplishments or their qualifications. It doesn't say the same thing that an MED would with a master's in education. It doesn't say the same thing that a PhD would. But then you got to ask, what's the PhD in? What discipline? Is it education? Is it philosophy? Is it religion? Is it theology? Is it political science? And so even within those realms, we have people who hold doctorate's degrees that are not earned doctorate's degrees. They're honorary. Is that the same? Do they have the same level of competence? Well, someone thought they did. Someone saw their life experience and the things that they have genuinely accomplished and documented them and said, based on this, I think they've done the work that would have been necessary to complete a PhD. But people who've spent the time and the money to get a PhD through the academic process generally don't look at someone with an earned PhD the same as they do awarded PhD. So confidence in your degree, confidence in your labels after your name, confidence in your job title is not the same as competence. One other quick illustration on that. There was a gentleman that, and this is a story, I don't know if it's true or not, it's a great anecdote, it makes my point well. There's a gentleman who's working in a plant, the big giant machine goes down, you may have heard this story, the big giant machine goes down, they call a technician. The technician shows up, he's been out with his family, he doesn't have his toolkit with him, he walks in, looks at the machine, walks around it for 2 or 3 minutes, walks up to one of the foremen and says, hey, do you have a hammer? He says, yeah. Borrows the hammer, walks over, smacks the machine in one particular place, and it fires back up, goes back to humming along like it's supposed to be. He hands a bill for $10,000 to the supervisor. Supervisor's like, $10,000? For what? You were here 5 minutes. You smacked the machine with a hammer, and you borrowed our hammer. You didn't bring your own tools. How can you charge me $10,000 for that? He said, well, the machine's up and making money again, right? Yeah, but $10,000 for 5 minutes? He's like, well, I'll take off $1,000 for using your hammer and make it $9,000 for knowing where to hit it. That's competence, not confidence. That's not about a label. It's not about a degree. It's not about arrogance. It's not about internal fortitude. It's about proof. It's about evidence. It's about fruit that people can inspect and go, yep, I see it. Said he was going to do it, and he did it, and it looks like this. That's a powerful, powerful statement. So I want to ask you as a leader, are you a confident leader in confidence alone, or are you a competent leader? Can someone look at what you said you were going to do and measure it against what you actually accomplished and see that they match up? Or have you actually done a little bit more? Now, I'm going to share just this outline with you, again, from John Maxwell's Indispensable Qualities of a Leader. I'm going to encourage you to go get this book. I do not get anything from selling the books. I do not get any kind of sponsorship or anything from John Maxwell. These are on page 33, but I just want to read this to you real quick. He says, if you want to be competent, we all admire people who display high competence, whether they are precision craftsmen, world-class athletes, or successful business leaders. But the truth is, you don't have to be Fabergé, Michael Jordan, or Bill Gates to excel in the area of competence. If you want to cultivate that quality, here's what you need to do. I'm going to read these 5 little tips to you. You're going to have to go get the book and read the little sections beneath them. Here's the 5 things he says to do. Show up every day. How many people do you know who claim to be competent at something but has the job title of XYZ, but they don't actually do that work? They don't show up every day. They don't do that work to its completion. Life coaches? Football players? How many people were bench warmers, but they were bench warmers on the team that won the championship, so they have the ring because they were on the team at the time. They never touched the field, but they got the ring, right? Show up every day. Keep improving. You can't just show up and expect that because you got there, you get the trophy. Follow through with excellence. Don't just muddle through the job. Do it with excellence. Accomplish more than expected. Whatever's set out in front of you, do that and keep going a little bit. Do that and go the extra mile. Do that and then prove that you can do more than what you were expected to do. And then finally, inspire others. So those same 5, real quick again, are show up every day, keep improving, follow through with excellence, accomplish more than expected, and inspire others. 21 indispensable qualities of a leader from John Maxwell. You can see it's not a very big book. $20. Good investment for your leadership skills. Highly recommended. Now, let me tell you what Paul says real quick about confidence. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, starting verse 3, he said, or 2, he says, "You are our epistle, written on our hearts, known and read by all men. You are manifestly an epistle of Christ, ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of flesh, that is, on your heart. And we have such trust through Christ toward God, not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think of anything as being from ourselves, but our sufficiency, our competence, comes from God, who also made us sufficient as ministers of the new covenant, not of the letter of the Spirit, for the letter kills, but of the Spirit that gives life." The letter kills, the Spirit gives life. What he's saying is, we're not claiming the confidence that we are good at what we've been called to do, that we're just out here doing it. We have confidence because you're the evidence. The church at Corinth was the evidence that the gospel message that Paul was taking forward was actually working, that it was changing lives, that it was impacting hearts, that it was making people's lives better. Inspire others. Don't just show up. Show up every day. Do it with excellence. Constantly improve yourself and inspire others to do the same. John Maxwell says also, a good leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. What good is your leadership if no one else wants to imitate it? Are you leading leaders? Are you leading followers? Or are you just taking a walk? We've got to be able to distinguish the difference between confidence, especially a confidence that is an overinflated ego, a confidence that is self-created, a confidence that I have made up in my own opinion, rather than a confidence earned through performance, through delivery, through excellence. Having competed and won is what makes you undefeated. You cannot be undefeated having never been to battle. There's a gigantic difference in leadership between confidence and competence. And we as leaders need to not only know it, but demonstrate it and also expect it. Demand that excellence from those who follow us. I hope this has been a benefit to you. I hope it has challenged you in your leadership skills, in faith, in family, in freedom, because those are the issues that I think will win the day in the end, regardless of what happens in politics, regardless of what happens in the economy, regardless of what happens in your religious beliefs. If you can find your anchor in your faith, your family, and your freedom, and continue to live that out, you will be a leader who makes an impact for generations. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. And make sure you click on the subscribe button down there. Facebook and YouTube, we're live every morning at 6:20. Please share this with your friends and have a great day leading others to excellence.